Cody Broderick here with inWhatLanguage. Today I'm very excited to be with a dear friend of mine, Mr. Rich Tyson. Rich is the founder of CEObuilder, and he gets to mentor and coach CEOs from some of Utah's most respectable international companies. Rich has a very vast and dynamic career as it relates to international business, and he's worked around the world in the public and private sector. He's a Harvard MBA grad, and he's just going to have some great content for us. So we're lucky to have him. Let's talk about some international business. Rich, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Glad to be here.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. What's the greatest challenge that you've ever experienced with international business?
Well, the challenges I've looked at with my clients have been generally a function of not clearly understanding that you're dealing with a real difference in doing business overseas and dealing with it here. The challenge I see so often is the lack of preparation and a sense that the way we do it here in the United States is the way it's done abroad. To give you another example, we have a great client who's doing a lot of business in Europe, but they took the approach of setting their partners in place in Europe as a delegation kind of task, and once they had handed off the ball, they backed away. This relationship's been in place now for 20 years and never has grown into what it ought to be. Recently the client spent time in Europe at a trade show, more time with those people, and they've begun to regenerate this thing to where it should have a great return on investment for them. But the lack of focus and time there, the lack of front-end preparation, it's very different doing business abroad, and you need to understand that as you're putting your corporate strategy together, there's a separate strategic plan for working overseas as well.
What are you doing to help some of your clients overcome those challenges?
Get good advice. Certainly we look at things from the standpoint of helping them define their strategies and how those are different abroad, but there are good folks here who understand the differences in the laws, differences in the customs, the culture, that we just need to tap into as resources. Secondarily, again, to put someone onto those tasks within the company. If you don't have that person to recruit them who can focus on that separate and important international strategy.
You mentioned some open door resources and getting great local advice. Where might you recommend some of the companies or people look to get good advice?
Well, three names come to mind. Cramer, who is the president of the World Trade Center here in Utah. David Fiscus, director of the Utah U.S. Export Assistance Center. I'm looking down here because that's a long title. And then Franz Kolb, who has been a great resource to our CEOs as well. We've brought all of them in to speak to our CEO forums, and they've been a great source of information and support.
They are, yeah, I would agree with you. Anybody that's doing international business needs to connect with those gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Last question. What's the best piece of advice you can give for any company that's doing international business?
Well, I'll go right to what we've been talking about. Get to the very best resources that can help you. We have a tendency sometimes here in the state of Utah, and I think this is true throughout the United States, that we go to the best resources we know right now. And nothing wrong with that, but I put it this way often: don't go to Aunt Minnie if you can go to a Franz Kolb. Let's get to the very best resources. That would certainly include companies like inWhatLanguage as you're looking for translation services and help. So often, again, communication is one of those details that we have to function well to understand. And if the translation isn't done properly, we've all seen some very humorous things, but those don't help business. So my counsel is to get to good resources.
Thank you very much. That content was wonderful, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you, Cody. Appreciate being interviewed.